You guys know how much I love doing my kombucha reviews. Well, 2 weeks ago, I decided to start a little project. And for the last 2 weeks, this bad boy has been fermenting in a dark enclosed area. You guys might be wondering, what do we have here? Well, after getting my hands on a SCOBY, which is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast which is needed to ferment kombucha, I decided to start brewing my own. Now this is a very interesting method here because I've never brewed kombucha before. So today we're on the canning process. Now the canning process consists of this. After 2 weeks of brewing my own kombucha, we have to then start, basically it's the second fermentation process. So we can it, we're going to refrigerate it, and then we're going to let it sit for another 2 weeks so the carbonation process begins. Kombucha is supposed to be naturally carbonated, which is supposed to happen during this process. And I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride as we do this. Also, you know, peep the Brewed Lee tribute shirt. Picked up a little while ago. I've never worn it in a video yet. I decided to for this. Now, I didn't do the initial, brewing process because it just took a little while. But what did we do? We took actually some David's Tea Flamingo Fresca to brew this kombucha because it does have, I believe, white tea and green tea in it, or is it white tea and oolong, as well as tropical flavors. Now, one thing I noticed, and this is how you know it's being fermented correctly, is you will see another SCOBY, as you guys might be able to see up here, forming. Now, it's going to look a little layered, it's going to look a little weird, but that's all fine, that's all within the process of what's supposed to happen. Now, the SCOBY I got was actually from my chiropractor, because he brews his own kombucha, and we got to talking after he saw me wear a GT's kombucha hoodie. And he gave me one that was like this big. So to see this thing kind of fermenting all, like, and creating itself all on the top here is a beautiful thing. Now, basically what you had to do was you brewed this whole thing of tea, or, you know, I did a 2 gallon, you could do a gallon. Most people probably would do a gallon because of the process. So you basically brew it up, right? And then afterwards, you want to let it hit room temperature because you don't want to put the SCOBY in scalding hot water because you're going to kill it. It's a living organism, which is where the probiotics come from. So afterwards, once this cooled down, you put the SCOBY, you also add a shit ton of sugar because SCOBY feeds off sugar, and naturally that's how it's going to grow, that's how it's going to ferment, but don't get it twisted. By adding the sugar, it doesn't make this an overly sugary drink. At the end of the day, if you look at kombuchas, a lot of them don't have much sugar unless it's added sugar, because basically a lot of the sugar that you're going to put into here to ferment is going to disappear because the SCOBY is going to eat it. So the Flamingo Fresca tea, which actually, let me see if I still have some, because I want to know exactly what I did. Yeah, here we go. I have another bag. So it has apple, pineapple, hibiscus, white tea, carrots, orange peel, passion fruit, and stuff along that line. So it's only a white tea. Now, you don't really see a lot of kombucha brewed with white tea. You see a lot of kombucha that's going to be brewed with black tea and green tea. The white tea, I think, is going to be a little interesting also because, I mean, I'm making it at home. I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. A lot of times, you would add the flavoring after the kombucha is kind of brewed up. So I did that a little backwards, but it's fine. Now, kombucha, for the most part, is safe to brew at home if done correctly, which I think it is. I mean, we're going to know by how it comes out, how it smells. I knew this was getting ready to be done because it was giving off that really vinegary smell. Worst comes to worst, this is my first ever brewing of it. If it is bad, if it is rancid, in 2 weeks we'll find out, and I'll dump the whole batch, which will be a little upsetting. And we'll have to try to start over. But let's start with the, the bottling. So I did get a bottle that has a spigot to it. I'm gonna bottle it with these mason jars and then throw it in the fridge. I don't know how many of these I'm gonna fill. I did rinse them all out beforehand. because you don't really want to get bacteria with bacteria, and it's bad for you. Kombucha in itself is a very healthy beverage. I mean, it's basically tea, and then it has other stuff too. The one thing you want to check for the SCOBY is to see if it starts turning, because it can start bringing a bad batch to it. This still relatively looks okay. Just looking around, because it is still like a fleshy color, so that's awesome. So let's start brewing a little bit of it. If it wants to come out of the spigot, that would be nice, right? It does seem it's a little maybe clogged up. Okay, there we go. We got some coming out now. Now, it's going to be normal if some SCOBY does fall into this as you're brewing it. I mean, as you're bottling it, because, I mean, it's just what's going to happen. I've seen SCOBY in bottled kombucha I get from most brands. You're going to want to fill it kind of to the top, I guess. I went with 16-ounce containers for mason jars. Also, because of the fermentation process, these become awesome for canning. And as you guys can see, it actually looks like it would be very, very delicious. That was a weird pop. But probably because it's been open, I would think. So we're going to start, like I said, doing all this. I just want to, bring you guys along on this journey, because this is something new for me. If it does come out okay, and if it does come out edible, I guess we'll know, and I can start brewing my own kombucha. The thing with SCOBYs too is you can save them and create, like a starter for your next batch. I don't know if I'm gonna save mine at this point. I'll see, because it's not that I don't trust it. It's gonna be pretty much where I can store it, that it won't die, and I feel like I would have to keep feeding it little by little. But let's see. I mean, overall, this does look like it came out nice. It is still a nice color. I don't think I have anything to worry about in that aspect. Yeah, these all pop. Okay, it was weird. Basically, what we're gonna do, like I said, is we're gonna fill these up, right? And we're gonna put them in the fridge for another 2 weeks. I'm gonna monitor them still within that 2 weeks to kind of see if anything changes with the consistency, and then we'll kind of know whether or not we want to eventually drink this in like 2 weeks and do like a little review of how my first kombucha came out. Smell wise, you do get that vinegariness already, which is why I'm thinking it means it's okay. But I'm no expert on that. We got 3 bottles done already. They do look okay. I wonder if I'm going to fill up all these containers with this. I probably am going to have some left over. 16 times 12. I didn't really do the math, right, in terms of if I bought enough. I'm thinking I probably did. I hope I did. But if anything, we do have that starter for the next one. I really feel like once this is cold and once this gets all done, it's going to be a very interesting flavored kombucha. I hope it tastes as tropical as I'm hoping. If it doesn't, like I said, first try, I'm going to probably fail. And if I don't, haha, success. And if I do, I'll just probably wait to ever brew kombucha again until I do it with someone who knows what they're doing. I followed instructions. I mean, the one thing that you really wanted to make sure of was to not handle the SCOBY without washing your hands first or without using gloves, because it can be easily damaged. And I kind of just poured mine in without touching it. So I hope that was really the right thing to do in terms of it. But it is nice to kind of get this all going for the first time. Maybe I'll have other people test this out after I do. I feel like as long as I survive with it and I don't get deathly sick, because kombucha can be brewed wrong and it does become dangerous. And one of the big things with it is a lot of natural kombucha is raw, meaning it's unpasteurized. So, you know, there's always a risk of failure here. But I don't think, I mean, everything in it in terms of the SCOBY, because the SCOBY is going to be the main thing you have to worry about. Iced tea in itself, you're fine for a while, right? And I don't think this looks bad. This looks kind of like the SCOBY I was given, except bigger now. It's almost created like a big like plank to it. And it's kind of cool looking. It kind of looks like jelly in a weird flesh-colored jelly, which is awkward and odd. I would love to see if this thing would like mutate and, you know, possibly, who knows, like grow an arm or something. Just because it is like literally the SCOBY almost looks like what my skin color is. I guess that means it's living, right? I mean, I am living, so it's not rancid and or dead. There is some browning going to it, but nothing like awful. It could also just be from how long it's been fermenting. But the tea's coming out fine, it's smelling fine. And the tea's coming out smelling like kombucha. So at least in that aspect, I know something is okay with it. So I'm really hoping this carbonation process does work out nicely, because I like my kombucha very carbonated. Like the kombucha I drink offhand is GT's, and you guys know GT's has a nice carbonation to it if you've had it. So I'm hoping that's kind of how this turns out too. It looks like I'm definitely going to have extra tea, which I'm going to want to see what I'm going to want to do with it. But if this worked, I just literally kind of got 12 decent shots of kombucha without having to spend what would probably be close to $80. I mean, kombucha itself is like $3 a pop, 3 times, okay, so $36. It's weird that it's making that noise, but it's canning, so it makes sense why it's a pop. Yeah, we're definitely going to have a lot extra left on here. It's going to be weird how I can keep this and save it. If I do want to make more kombucha. But yeah, this is kind of what I've been up to since late January. So it's interesting, it's going to be different. It's a nice little project to start the year and kind of start, you know, that full health living. Hopefully, I mean, luckily enough, I am just getting over having strep. So that's just a bacteria buildup in itself in his throat. It was bad. I felt like I couldn't, the whole left side of my mouth was kind of closing for a while. Yeah, so we're going to have mad tea left over. But I guess that's okay. But yeah, guys, I definitely recommend if you're going to brew your own kombucha, make sure you find like a tutorial online. Make sure you get your SCOBY from a reliable source if you're not planning on kind of growing your own, because it does, to my knowledge, take a little bit of a process to make a SCOBY. I was lucky enough to get a good starter, and in itself, you know, have something kind of going for me in that sense. Don't get me wrong, it might look a little weird for people who have like never seen like a SCOBY before. I would love to like have like an overshot version of it, but it does look really freaking awkward. But I'm gonna have enough left that actually this could work as a starter for the next batch. Whether or not, like I said, I'm going to want to use it as the starter for the next batch, it's going to be something I'm going to determine in a little bit. But for that being said, guys, we basically started the process here. Now it's just a matter of going into the second fermentation process and getting this all kind of good to go. I just wanted to kind of bring you guys this little video. If anyone has any questions about the process, I guess let me know, and I'll try to guide you in the right direction, and we can try to figure out, you know, if I did this right, if I did this wrong. We do it together. If anyone's brewed their own kombucha, let me know what you think. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Shout out to everyone. Thank you for probably spending, what, 15 minutes watching me do this and talking with me. Leave your comments down below. Everyone stay safe. Have a good one. I'll catch you later. See you. Bye.